sharing that insight all the way from New York. Now we stay on this topic. People in Kyiv are responding to recent statements made by US President Donald Trump, who said that Ukraine could win back all of its territory from Russia, an astonishing turnaround on the war following his meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky. Svetlana Fetsivsova has expressed that the sentiments of many, saying, "I would like more help, more action, and not just words, because Ukraine is really suffering." Let's in fact listen into what the residents has said.
Мені дуже хочеться вірити, що це правда, і дійсно, нарешті, країна, яка відповідає за баланс миру в усьому світі, повернеться до нас обличчям. І це не буде знову якісь обіцянки, які зміняться через якийсь час.
Дасть, думаю. Ну, якщо дасть, буде класно, але думаю, ні. Ну, він говорив, що він готовий дати більше зброї НАТО, а НАТО може розпоряджатися цим, як хоче, але я сумніваюся, що по тих програмах, які задіює НАТО, нам дадуть якусь більшу кількість зброї.
Він змінює свої думки швидше, ніж вимовляє їх, тому це не викликає не те, що довіри. Тобто, почекаємо тиждень, він щось може інше сказати. Якщо під ці думки буде зроблена хоч якась мінімальна дія, тоді це буде викликати довіру. А так, починаючи з його предвиборної кампанії, були висловлювання про закінчення війни за 24 години, вже пройшла не одна 24 година, а змін немає, тому його позиція нестабільна.
The Israeli military says one of its troops has been severely wounded in northern Gaza. He was part of the elite Givati reconnaissance unit and was airlifted out for urgent treatment. Separately, another Israeli soldier has been killed in a rocket-propelled grenade attack in Gaza City. Meanwhile, Italy has condemned a drone attack on the global Sumud Flotilla, which is en route to Gaza with humanitarian aid. The flotilla reported blasts, damaged equipment, and communication on jamming overnight near Greece. Italy says its citizens and lawmakers are on board and has deployed a Navy ship to ensure their safety. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Dan Perry. He's a world affairs analyst, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Dan, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, it's astonishing that these IDF soldiers are being injured, also killed, while Gaza doesn't have food. I don't understand, how are they getting hold of these equipment or even a grenade to attack IDF back?
Oh, there's no mystery. Hamas spent almost 20 years basically accumulating explosives and building weapons and smuggling in whatever they had to enable the creation of a very profound arsenal of weaponry and munitions designed for just this. I'm not the only one who thinks that Yahya Sinwar, the now deceased leader of Hamas in Gaza, basically had intended, with his invasion and massacre of October 7th, to draw Israel into such a trap. So, I mean, the events of today, tragic for Israel though they are in no way outliers. I mean, they've been losing soldiers on a consistent basis throughout the past almost 2 years of war. In addition to the 1,200 people that were killed during the Hamas attack on October 7th, almost 1,000 soldiers have died since then. So, I'm fairly certain that Gaza City is basically one enormous booby trap with explosives in many of the buildings. Still many miles of tunnels where Hamas is hiding beneath these civilian buildings. And their plan essentially is to either escape through the tunnels or where they can emerge through openings in buildings or in alleyways and streets and, in a pinpoint basis, attack the Israeli soldiers and they can be expected to be successful. This is a gamble that Israel took when it decided to push into Gaza City, a situation that, in the eyes of many military and strategic experts in Israel, is a terrible mistake that will probably embroil Israel should it choose to continue this strategy in a prolonged insurgency over many months and maybe many years. Israel has one of the world's most powerful and effective armies, but not more so than the U.S. And remember, the U.S. faced an insurgency of about a decade until they called it quits in Iraq, and almost 2 decades in Afghanistan. When you're dealing with jihadists, fanatics, who are more than willing and perhaps even happy to see the lives of civilians, their own people, sacrificed in order to create attrition versus a seemingly more powerful enemy. This is asymmetric warfare, and it can be expected to exact casualties on the Israeli side until they choose a better strategy.
Right. And do you think what are the broader implications of also the drone attack at sea, and also the Israeli military's casualties, and also the civilian casualties in Gaza? Do you think it can affect anything or influence anything at the talks in UNGA that's unfolding now?
Well, these are separate issues. As for the drone attacks on the flotilla headed for Gaza, I don't know who did them. It reflects a new reality in global warfare, where drones can do a lot of damage at very low cost to whoever sends the drones, and sometimes with difficulty to even trace where the drones came from because they're so small that they can be stored anywhere. And operated with great ease and some degree of deniability. I think this Gaza-bound flotilla is a PR stunt, and Israel would be wise to keep its engagement with them to a minimum. I guess people are assuming Israel did the little drone harassment of the ships, and that's probably true, I guess, but what's likely to happen with the flotilla is that they will be intercepted en route to Gaza, towed into the Israeli port of Ashdod, relieved of their humanitarian aid, and that will be sent into Gaza, which is a drop in the sea, because tons of aid is going into Gaza. This aid will not make the slightest difference. They can't allow them to just land in Gaza. Gaza is a war zone, and they'll be in great danger, and there is a blockade by land, air, and sea of Gaza for a good reason until the war is over. So what do you do with a PR stunt? I mean, if you know anything about PR, you don't engage it. I don't think the drone thing is particularly wise. As for the rest of it, Israel is in a pickle at the UN because all these countries have recognized Palestine more or less as a means of manifesting their great unhappiness with the continuation of the war.
Yes.
You could say these are two separate things. You could also say that this recognition in some way or other validates Hamas's strategy of invasions and massacres, and aggression, and it's very bad that way. But either way, Israel obviously is facing a lot of international isolation, various diplomatic moves against it, almost all of it traceable to the fact that the world is fed up with the war in Gaza, and this is the means that have been chosen to reflect that. And by the way, the world being fed up with the war in Gaza is very much in alignment with the Israeli public itself, which is also fed up with the war in Gaza.
Then lastly, I would like to question, Donald Trump yesterday, President said that he wants to get ceasefire done in Gaza based on his record in previous wars or stopping wars. How likely is that he would be able to broker peace in Gaza? What's your take?
My take is that if Donald Trump said today was Wednesday, the chances of that are, around 1 out of 7 or less. The fact that he said this doesn't mean that much. Now, if he wanted to put his money where his mouth is, he would simply call up Netanyahu and say the war must end. Yeah. Because Israel cannot continue the war without U.S. support on a variety of levels. I mean, Israel's a quite powerful, sovereign, autonomous country with agency, sure, but they depend on American munitions, they depend on America's diplomatic umbrella at the UN Security Council, without which Israel would probably by this point be facing economic sanctions. So if Trump wants to end the war in Gaza, and he's willing to end the war with Hamas still in power in parts of, the smoldering ruins of what was once the Gaza Strip, if he's happy to have that happen, then he can force Israel to do it with great speed. But Trump's claims that he ended wars all over the world are, nonsensical. And in the case of India, as you yourself must know, there's tension between the U.S. and India because India itself doesn't accept Trump's narrative that he magically somehow ended the conflict between India and Pakistan.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing that. Now we stay on